Hey, Rob, watch out for the
So why
exit
do
30.
people
It's coming up.
suffer down here?
It's right up here. You'll see in a minute.
I can answer that question now easily.
It's a rough ride.
And I never could before because I hated it too. I hated when people ask that question, why does it allow the children to die? And why does it allow this? And why does it suffer? And why are we slaves? And why this and why that?
It's over here.
Well, that's because we all been lied to.
Today's June 12th, 2023. It's 2 days after I-95 exit 30. The bridge was on fire from something that caused it to collapse. I remember 2 weeks ago, Paul Begley was talking about those 30 tons of explosives disappearing on Wyoming train. Three, two, one. Exit 30 is right where the overpass collapsed. May 23rd, 2023. The news about the 30 tons of explosives disappearing. So that was even before the wildfires in Canada. How things are just starting to catch fire.
So why do people suffer down here? I can answer that question now easily. And I never could.
So this is a newscast showing you where this happened. That's where southbound traffic obviously is. But prior to that, just in case, but if anything happens like this, just in case, 8-3 attack or something, that's what Jacob was saying. He's not going to tell you or anything. Just so you know, you're wearing Paul's ring. Or something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday. Something happens with Jacob Israel. Not like, doesn't need to be him per se, just if something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday, June 11th, 2023, because already where he lives seemed to have been the most horrendous hit from the wildfires, with the air pollution in Long Island. It seems like somebody's trying to attack him or something. So today's 6/8. 3 more days will be 6/11. This video, I'm making it 6/8, June 8th. 3 more days, 6/11/2023. Before anything happens like this, just in case, then you would know why it happened. Over a year ago, the collapse, yes, so portions of I-95 collapsed yesterday after a very large fire broke out Sunday, which was Jacob Israel's birthday. Sunday, as they're saying on June 12th at 3 p.m., they're saying yesterday, which was Sunday, Jacob Israel's birthday, the portion of I-95 collapsed, large fire broke out Sunday, overpass, so 6 hours ago, which makes it today, June 12th. It broke out Sunday morning. Remind us what happened like 24 hours ago, right? Predictions come true of what everybody said to expect in the first morning rush hour. Where this happened, that's where southbound traffic, it obviously is. Southbound traffic, exit 30, southbound, Cotman Ave.
Because I hated it too. I hated when people ask that question, why does it allow the children to die? Why does it allow this? And why does it suffer? And why are we slaves? And why this and why that? So why do people suffer down here? I can answer that question now. Easily. And I never could be.
That's where it happened, southbound traffic, Cotman Ave. So what happened at 6:20 yesterday, this tanker truck was going northbound towards Heaven. And they closed this case investigation. They said they were 99% sure that the driver, 99% sure the driver died in this wreckage, incinerated, then crushed. Okay, and then crushed by the road collapsing down. And so they had to do that delicate recovery, because that's why the governor was probably, he was being delegate in his conversation. So it was a massive fire that burned under an off-ramp of Interstate 95. And I found myself thanking the Lord. Let's stop. A massive fire that burned under an off-ramp of Interstate I-95. And I found myself thanking the good Lord. Oh, that no one there will be free parking it. Huh? I must have missed something. So that's 69th Street. This is all what they're showing you in this collapse. Right there. Where, what was I saying?
Because I hated it too. I hated when people ask that question, why does it allow the children to die? Why does it allow this? And why does it suffer? And why are we...
This is from yesterday. I uploaded, but it was a video from Friday, 2 days before the collapse, because I'm driving right by the area that collapsed. And I just wanted to go back to see what I was talking about as it collapsed. The last time I drove over it with my tires, the last time I drove over that spot that collapsed and is going to crush the economy in Philadelphia over time, is something that disappeared. And it's gone.
Never could before, because I hated it too. I hated when people ask that question, why does it allow the children to die? Why does it allow this? Why does it suffer? And why are we
exit 30.
And why that? Well, that's because
here it is right here.
We all been lied to.
They were my final words as I crossed the path of destruction.
Slaves, why this and why that?
The crash occurred this morning. The state police have been on the scene, assisting the Philadelphia police under the leadership of Commissioner Outlaw in diverting traffic off of I-95. PEMA has been on site, coordinating the response efforts with our local and our federal partners. Since this morning, PennDOT personnel and Secretary Carroll himself have been on site inspecting the roadway. Finally, DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, under the leadership of Acting Secretary Negrin, has been coordinating with the United States Coast Guard and the Philadelphia Water Department to conduct environmental assessments. While this is still very much an active scene, I just completed an aerial view of the site, and received a briefing from law enforcement, first responders, and transportation experts on the ground, together with Mayor Kenny. As has been reported, the northbound side of I-95 has completely collapsed, and this.
That's as of June 11th, because it happened 6:20 in the morning on Jacob Israel's 52nd birthday. So if something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday, June 11th, that's pretty devastating. What were my last words when I crossed over from this point to that point? And that's the same exact point where the crash took place and collapsed. That entire spot right there.
Southbound side is not structurally sound to carry any traffic over it. In response, PennDOT, the City of Philadelphia, and SEPTA, under leadership of Leslie Richards, who joins us today, have created detours and are working on further alternative methods to ensure folks can safely get to where they need to go. We're also looking at interim solutions to connect both sides of I-95 to get traffic through the area. With regards to the complete rebuild of I-95 roadway, we expect that to take some number of months. We expect it,
like at least 42 of them,
to take that time, and we will have that specific timeline set forth once the engineers in PennDOT have completed their review. To expedite this process and to cut through the red tape, tomorrow morning I plan to.
Right? So there's the spot. There's no question that that's the spot. And then there's no question that if you go right here, that you're going to see me drive right over. I just want to make a clear record that before that drove by, my back wheels hit that area, and I didn't have anything good to say about it either. Not that spot right there. Watch.
We all been lied to.
That's why.
That's why. Does that make you feel better?
If I was in the court of law making a record, there's no question that every single thing in this video that I was talking about was before the collapse, and it happened a day and a half beforehand. It's just I uploaded it later because I thought I uploaded the second part, which was 50 seconds, and not this one. But for the record, it's there, and all these things were said beforehand, all the way up to the very first beginning moment.
I'm going to be more positive.
And then I want to see what time I rode by there because I didn't have that. You see this guy right here under the "Do Not Enter" sign? He's walking here. So that's at the beginning of the video. If I needed to make a timestamp record, 3 seconds in on the video that was on Friday, 1 hour 9 minutes. So at that hour 9 minutes, I took a screenshot where I started the video at, this video started at 5:44, June 9th, 2023. Which means in another fast forward, I'm right there at exit 30. It's 24 minutes later and 35 seconds. So somewhere around, we all been lied to, that's why. Somewhere around 24:42.
We all been lied.
At 24:42 from 5:44. 24 minutes. 16 minutes. 24. So it's around 6:10-ish, right? So at 5:44 plus 16 minutes is going to be 6 o'clock. 16 minutes. So 24, 16 minutes left over. (24 minus 16), 6:08, plus 42 seconds. So round it off at 6:09 p.m. when I got to this point right here.
Lied to.
That collapsed.
We all been lied to.
There you go. Now, the 7-Eleven up here is only when I took the actual screenshot. But that's the time at the beginning. And that's exactly what I said at 6:09 p.m. on the day that it collapsed. Was a day and a half later, because it collapsed at 6:22 on Sunday. And I drove by it Friday at 6:09 p.m. And Route 73, you can see a 73 up here degree. Route 73 is the Cottman Ave exit that you would get off of back here.
If they're heading to heaven, the person is actually in heaven either. No. So now, easily. And I never could.
It's Route 73, Cottman Ave. And that's where they're showing it on the news. But before that,
of I-95 collapsed yesterday after a large fire broke out Sunday morning.
So, Steve, remind us exactly what happened like 24 hours ago right now.
Well, first we're seeing the predictions come true of what everybody said to expect in the first morning rush.
It kind of looks like he has like the same mark area on his forehead that I did.
So we're at State and Rawn Streets, right outside the current Fromhold prison. And there you see the signs. If you're going north, you see that sign for Northeast Philadelphia up there that's being blocked by that truck right now. This is southbound traffic.
Before,
and we're going to slowly pan. You can see
too.
State Road is closed here. So local traffic is really messed up, right? Then you've got these people hauling. Look at this car coming into where this police officer is. They're coming out of State Road. And we're going to push in to the Cottman Avenue exit sign. So that's exactly where this happened. That's where southbound traffic obviously is being forced off.
People ask that question, why is it allowed the children to die?
So what happened at 6:20 yesterday, this tanker truck was going northbound, and everybody that knows that Cottman Avenue exit knows it is a winding turn that keeps winding until you go on the straightaway of Cottman. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that that truck was obviously going too fast, flipped over and exploded and ignited, and that's what happened. Now let's go to a live helicopter picture, and they have made tremendous progress because they broke up the entire slab of northbound lanes that collapsed into little pieces, enough where they could put it all by bulldozer into dump trucks and get it out of there so they can start repairing the road. But they also had a recovery operation because as late as 5 o'clock yesterday, when they had a news conference, they wouldn't even say that the driver was presumed dead. But off the record, talking to people close to this case and investigation, they said they were 99.9% sure that the driver died in this wreckage, incinerated, then crushed by the road collapsing down. And so they had to do that delicate recovery, and that's why the governor was probably being delicate in his conversation yesterday with
11 hours
people
ago,
saying, we don't know what happened, but we were very glad that nobody on 95 was injured or killed, because that could have happened if they didn't stop when they all did.
Yeah, so listen to the words here. We're glad that nobody died on 95 is what we said, not under 95. So the characters who died underneath in the accident of the truck that incinerated and disappeared, probably. You probably can't even find it. It's so burned up, more than the steel.
We saw some of the videos from the latest people that went through it right before it collapsed. You could
I want to see the truck. I want to see if it's a U-Haul truck, because Jacob Israel is talking about a U-Haul truck crashing in the White House. Maybe it was a foreshadowing of a U-Haul truck.
See, there was a big dip in the road. Everybody's phone would shake when they passed by the flames on both sides. Here,
it wasn't that frightening when I was driving by, but
here's some of what the governor told us yesterday in his briefing.
Remarkable.
Well, that's because
we all been lied to. At this point, drawing a line across the road, and you can say we all been lied to. That'll sum it up.
we all been lied to.
Big dip in the road. Everybody's phone would shake when they passed by the flames on both sides. Here is some of...
Let me see. Did my phone shake when I passed by it?
Slaves and why?
Like any more than usual?
Well, that's because we all been lied to.
It did.
That's why.
It did. It went down. It dipped a little bit, right?
Well, that's because we all been lied to.
A little bit.
That's why.
Seen it. That's why.
The governor told us yesterday in his briefing.
Remarkable devastation.
Remarkable devastation. Hold on a minute. Hold on. So who are you? Who are you? Who are you? I don't know. You kind of have a skip eye. You do have a skip eye, but it's on the other side of the eye. But you definitely wanted to let us know you are part of the serpent race. And you just want to let us know that it is remarkable. And that's why that came over to Philly, because of this. The smoke started. Canada first. Witchcraft pouring the thing over. And then 5 days later, the Philly collapse.
The collapse.
Yes, so portions of I-95 collapsed yesterday after a large fire broke out Sunday morning.
So, Steve, remind us exactly what happened.
Yes. So, Steve, what happened again? Steve and James?
Right. Fire would be just a minute.
Well, yeah, but
Hide that one first, dickhead. Why don't you verify that one first, dickhead?
well, it looks like you.
24 hours ago right now.
Well, first we're seeing the predictions come true of what everybody said to expect in the first morning rush hour. So we're at State and Braun Streets, right outside. We're at State first morning. Everybody's first we're seeing the predictions come true.
You know, the funny thing about Robin is he doesn't have a whole lot of common sense. Robin, Henry, T.
I mean, looks, you could pass for your brother or cousin or someone in the family.
Of what everybody said to expect in the first morning rush hour. So said to expect in the first morning rush hour.
What's that?
The predictions come true. Seeing the predictions come true. Seeing the predictions come true.
James, I know he messes around a lot. He's the biggest liar on the planet because I think he is the devil. But even
it's funny because I clicked on it and that was the first thing that came out of the. I didn't even know what was gonna play it, so then I rewinded a second and played what played because it just seemed to have the same name going on. Matrix. Well, in June, what was happening beforehand? Something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday, June 11th, 2023, because already if something happens with Jacob Israel, what would happen with Jacob if nothing happened with Jacob Israel? Well, something can happen with Jacob where it's one of those fingerprints that you can't prove. 11th, 2023, because already something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday, June 11th, 2023, because
well, first we're seeing the predictions come true. Seeing the predictions come true.
Are you serious? A 30-ton shipment. I repeat, 30-ton shipment of explosive chemicals traveling from Wyoming to California by rail has just disappeared en route. I repeat, 30-ton shipment of explosive chemicals.
And we're going to push in to the Cottman Avenue exit sign. So that's exactly where this happened. That's where southbound traffic obviously is being forced off and into the neighborhoods right now. So what happened at 6:20 yesterday, this tanker truck was going northbound, and everybody that knows that Cottman Avenue exit knows it is a winding turn that keeps winding until you go on the straightaway of Cottman. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that that truck was obviously going too fast, and flipped over and exploded and ignited, and that's what happened. Now let's go to a live helicopter picture, and they have
and that's just what happened. So
picture, and they have made tremendous progress. Let's go to a live helicopter picture, and they have made an ignite going too fast, flipped over and exploded and ignited, and that's what happened. Now.
Traveling from chemicals of explosive chemicals traveling from Wyoming to California by rail has just disappeared en route. I repeat, a 30 tons shipment of ammonium nitrate, which is a very explosive chemical, has disappeared on a train that was traveling from Wyoming to California. The chemical is used to make both fertilizer and explosives.
Now let's go to a live helicopter picture, and they have made tremendous progress because they broke up the entire slab of northbound lanes that collapsed into little pieces enough where they could put it all by bulldozer in the
chemical
dump trucks
supplier
and
said
get
that
it
it
out of there so they can
thought
start
the
repairing
shipment
the road.
was,
But they
which
also
was
had a
in
recovery
pellet
operation
form,
because
must have
as late
fell
as
from the
5
rail
o'clock
car. They're not
yesterday when they
sure.
had a news conference,
But officials are
they wouldn't even say
investigating
that the driver
along the track, of course, investigate the disappearance of 30 tons. I don't think 30 tons. I'm just telling you right now, 30 tons.
Why are we slaves and why? And I never could before.
Tons of ammonium nitrate did not fall off this train.
May 23rd, 2023.
It did not fall off this train. I repeat, it did not fall off this train.
Good afternoon. I'm Governor Josh Shapiro, and this morning, according to first responders here in Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania State Police, at approximately 6:20 a.m., a vehicle fire underneath I-95 behind me here caused a portion of the highway above to collapse. At least one vehicle is still trapped underneath the collapsed roadway. Preliminary reports indicate that a commercial truck carrying a petroleum-based product was the source of the fire. We're still working to identify any individual or individuals who may have been caught in the fire and the collapse.
Now, when he said that, I didn't even get a chance to get home and say, without them even saying what happened to the person, he just told you he is stuck in the fire and burned to death. That's what he's saying without saying it. And then it was confirmed by Steve's cousin or his brother or whatever, or Steve himself. It was confirmed by him.
I was first briefed on this situation early this morning by my Chief of Staff, Dana Fritz, then by Pennsylvania Secretary of Transportation Mike Carroll, who you'll hear from in a moment, along with Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner Christopher Paris and the PEMA Director Randy Padfield.
This is one day ago, June 11th,
me here today. And we've received regular updates throughout the day. Have been on site inspecting the road.
All right, so when you see this, what do you think? What do you think? You think the people are saying, "Oh man, it's such devastating," or is there a group of people that are saying, "Man, that is perfect. I love the way that you made it split right down. Yep, on both sides, perfect." You think that some people are saying that is an absolute wonderful catastrophe. I thank the Lord for it, that no one died. And
roadway. Finally, DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, under the leadership of Acting Secretary Nagrin, has been coordinating with the United States Coast Guard and the Philadelphia Water Department to conduct environmental assessments.
Remember what I said when I rode over there? After I reached that,
because I hated it too. I
hate when you repeat yourself, Robin. Over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, that's because we all been lied to.
While this is still very much an active scene, I just completed an aerial view of the site and received a briefing from law enforcement, first responders, and transportation experts on the ground, together with Mayor Kenny. As has been reported, the northbound side of I-95 has completely collapsed.
For those of you that thought you were going to heaven, going up to north, that highway has completely collapsed as of 6:09 p.m. When I told you that we've all been lied to right here, it's 6:09 p.m. on 6/9/2023. So it's 6:09 p.m. on 6/9, right before the actual collapse itself on I-95. I'm driving right over it, telling you that at 24:42, 44, 43, 44. Within a second and a half, it confirms that everything you're going to hear.
The southbound side is not structurally sound to carry any traffic over it. In response, PennDOT, the City of Philadelphia, and SEPTA, under leadership of Leslie Richards, who joins us today, have created detours and are working on further alternative methods to ensure folks can safely get to where they need to.
They can't ensure safety of anything, but they definitely said something true. We created detours. How'd you create detours?
Joins us today, have created detours and are working on further alternative methods to ensure folks can safely get to where they need to go.
Here's how they created a detour.
His phone would shake when they passed by the flames on both sides. Here is some of what the governor told us yesterday in his briefing.
That's exactly how they created a detour. So when they tell you that they created a detour, it's because that's what they did. They created it.
We're also looking at interim solutions to connect both sides of I-95 to get traffic through the area. With regards to the complete rebuild of I-95 roadway, we expect that to take some number of months.
About 5 months. How about 5 months? As it's scrolling down, update in Philadelphia. Stinging men for 5 months. Let's say you're a scorpion and you thought it was going to go the other way around. Or you may not, let's say you're a fox. And foxes have holes and dens and hiding and stuff, and the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. So it's like the foxes, and let's just say for the next 5 months, what if you were promised to get raptured on Jacob Israel's birthday? And then he's telling you northbound lane is closed, which means it's the cutoff. I was suspect saying it's sus if something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday. Then you would know why it's happening. And when I tied that in, I was also referring to, look, you see I have 5 months typed in there. It's 11/11. The only way I could see men being stung by a scorpion sting, and maybe they're the ones that thought they were going to come out and literally sting people in a violent way, but they got somehow left behind, or the plan changed. The road northbound I-95 is closed. And then for the next 5 months, you get stung like a scorpion when it striketh a man, because the true angels of God are the ones that, when it's time to cause God's judgment, they cause it. There's nothing you can do about it, but just deal with it if you're on the wrong side. I already went through my period of 6 years of this, so at some point there's a 5-month period. And what better person to start it off than Jacob Israel on his birthday, 6/11, in Philadelphia, to kind of kickstart the, here, this is it, Robin. We're rounding the turn. It's in your hometown. You drove right by it. You said at 6:09 on 6/9/2023, exactly at 6:09, that we've all been lied to. And then the story hits. If something happens with Jacob on his birthday, what's happening with Jacob on his birthday? on his birthday, June 11th, from California, or something happens with Jacob Israel on his birthday, June 11th, 2023, because already where he lives seemed to have been the most horrendously hit from the wildfires with the air pollution in Long Island. So it seems like somebody's trying to attack him or something. So today,
on June 9th, parts of Midtown Manhattan were shut down because of a beehive. It was very strange. I saw it as significant and prophetic because, of course, I had just recently talked about a beehive and I had just talked about hell on a program that I just did.
Very interesting that Venus, on the night of the 12th and the 13th, it's going to be passing on a star cluster known as the Beehive. Now, why I find this to be interesting is a beehive is to do with a collective.
And now here, days later, we see Queen Bee dancing in her new bee outfit. The bees that were going on reminded me of Samson's bees that was found in the carcass of a lion. And I think of New York City, I think of Trump. And I think of Trump as the carcass of a lion being in New York City right now. I say it's significant.
and then on June 6th and 7th, New York has the absolute worst air pollution out of any place in America. And you see that half a star there on June 6th? It's also in the video, News 3, CBS News, the power group. You see the star there? I don't know what video it was from, what video I was watching after this, but that's from the collapse in Philly where the bridge is. And then, remember that star? An accident waiting to happen. So if I can find that video.
To the city. Now, that is not closed. Now, speaking of by it, we see people just kind of just relaxing as we're trying to get through this traffic. Everyone pretty much in this together, knowing that a lot of people are using this route as a detour since I-95 is closed. Now,
you see that, and it's even, wow. That is such I nailed it. Here's your star. Blocked off with the building. And if you notice, it's a round building too, kind of like 17th JFK. And then over here, you have the same thing, the star, but it's kind of blocked off. It's cut on the side, just like this one, which is identical stars. One of them is on June 9th, which is June 6th, which is beforehand, and then 11 hours ago, June 12th, showing you the same star.
speaking of detours, there are several.
Exit 30, which is also 30 tons that was missing. The explosives.
As we've been mentioning all morning.
There it is. That's even better. That is even more perfect. Now, what was that from? Was that this? Was that was that your shorts?
On June 9th, parts of Midtown Manhattan were shut down because of a beehive.
No. The worst air. There you go. So New York has the world's worst air pollution as Canada wildfires rage. As that rages, and then they give you a hint as to where the next event's going to be in Philly with the fire.
Other alternates to get through the city, especially to get to the city. Now, that is not one size fits all. There will be some trial and error as far as which way drivers feel like is the best for them. And that's, of course, depending on where they are going and how long it will take for us personally to get through a red light this morning, especially when it got around 9 o'clock, 8:30. I want to say it took about 10 minutes just to get through a red light here on Torresdale Avenue. So that's definitely something to consider. As we've been mentioning, this will not just impact commuters, this will impact people throughout the neighborhoods as well, people who live in these communities who say they will be seeing a lot more congestion like what we're looking at right now, what we.
So in the news, they're at 6:09, they're showing you 69th Street. And I rode over that spot at 6:09 on Friday, 6/9/2023. 69th Street. 6/9 is stamped on my forehead. At 6:09, Route 30. At 69th Street at 6:09. They wanted to show you that exactly. So it's all about 6 to the 9th hour, 6 to 9. 6 to 9, they made sure they showed it to you. I found myself thanking the Lord. Look at the fire explosion. I wonder what could have caused that explosive material. Sometimes I have too many stamps. My license plate is a 9666, government issued, GSS, like God Save Souls or God's Social Security number. Now, let's take a look at the witch bucket. You get the witch bucket up top, the wildfires that started it. And well, let's start from the witch buckets. They've been caught here. They've been caught in the fire. You see that the British fire there? So how this happened? Canada dropped the smoke bomb on us, apparently. They also said lightning strikes were responsible for the other fires. Maybe the Canadian witch cast hex. We just don't know. Atmosphere has us in the north. To the northeasterly. I mean, look at the pot brewing. I'm saying, look at how they have that witch's pot. Look, they have the witch's pot right there. And then I outline it for you, just so you can see a little bit better. The witch's pot from up in Canada, just like that announcer guy said on TV. I'd say the very top. Piano top, no, 2 is I didn't say piano, but it's like a witch's fire pit. It's overflowing down in America. I took the screenshot, but this is on my video of 6/8. So I don't know exactly what day that was, but I'm sure it was after. And then also to point to the next event, you got your smoke going on here. You have your line separated. I just look at the next event where the fire happens across the line. And then the Philly fire happened. This is underneath the bridge. You have your cross line over there. A shorter version of the Canadian fires, but God said that he's going to destroy the earth with fire, and Satan's going to make it look like he's really destroying it with fire. Because there's some more fire. This is Philadelphia. Look at that. Look at that. Exactly 36 hours later, after I drove by, 36 hours, at 6:09 p.m. on Friday, 6/9/2023, I drove by. My last words at that exact moment were, because we've all been lied to. And then at 6:22, which is 13 minutes more, 36 hours and 13 minutes later, this is what you see on exit 30 after 30 tons of, what'd you say was missing, Paul?
Traveling from Wyoming to California, 30-ton shipment of explosive chemicals traveling from Wyoming to California by rail has just disappeared en route. I repeat, 30 tons.
And then
because we all been lied to.
it's even a second time I've seen it. So there's Route 30 tons.
Why are we slave? Why this and why that? Well, that's because we all been lied to.
Mile 29696. We all been lied to. Right at the moment of impact. So 36 hours and 13 minutes later.
Remarkable devastation.
Remarkable devastation. I was thanking the Lord.
And I found myself, thanking the Lord that remarkable devastation. And I found myself, thanking the Lord.
Yesterday in his briefing.
Remarkable devastation. Remarkable devastation. And I found myself, thank the Lord that...
In Masonic language, in serpent language, I've learned to stop right there and just let that sink in, because that's the message. Don't worry about what he says afterwards. He's thanking the Lord for the amazing devastation.
No motorists who were on I-95 were injured or died.
You could
Yeah, see, no motorists who were on 95 were injured or died.
Literally feel like it was falling. I just thought in my head, this is like one of those earthquake pictures that you see in California when the bridge is starting to fall. I just had this.
With regards to the complete rebuild of I-95 roadway,
5 months.
We expect that to take some number of months.
I mean, it's either 5 or 42, but it's from Stephen Bellet's.
And come back to our live shot right now, and you can see traffic essentially at a standstill, just crawling, and then forced off into the neighborhood. And we learned in that briefing that 160,000 vehicles use this stretch of 95 every day, and many of those vehicles are not familiar with Philadelphia roads. Even Philadelphians that normally don't get off here have no clue where they're going when they are forced off here.
Oh, boy. I mean, I tell you, that wasn't by design at all. Just like with the similar scenes. Here's your wildfire scene. And then here's your wildfire scene underneath of the bridge, where there's a star that's letting you know from New York it's sit on 6-6 with the smokeness, the darkness that was leading towards the next spot. And then 30 tons that were missing of explosive material happened to wind up on exit 30. right there. Oh, and wow. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Man, that is unbelievable. Can you believe that? Wait till you see what I'm going to show you here. Wait till you see the star. Man, my goodness. Look at the star comparison. The star
like what
contrast.
we're looking at right now, people throughout the neighborhoods, as we've been mentioning.
All right. 1 star. 2 star. Days prior, giving a cutoff look to it. And then, bam! Star number 3. Cut off. This time into the ground. Look at that bad boy. Man, oh man. How do you put that in that image, huh? But Robin, the fire was real. You were there. You can go see it. I know. But when they take the image picture, what do they put in there?
And I bet the one you...
So you always look for clues as to what's coming next. It's easier for me to say, hey, look, the Lion King is coming. Release the Kraken. But where? Where are you going to release the Kraken at? I don't know. Find a star somewhere. Find something that has a similar looking star. And then it's like, hey, wait a minute. There's a similar star right there. And then, not only that, you see the similar star in the explosion. But not only that, the sign of Jonah. And when I was at the Wildwood, not the wildfires, Wildwood, right there. So it's all about the star, and the star. There's a star. There's a star. There's a star 5 days beforehand. And then
so you don't start going through the neighborhoods.
This will not just impact.
And then there's a star. So there's no question that was the next hit for the... You see, and I don't even get paid for this either. Nobody else figured this out yet. I figured it out right here, right now. I'm the investigator. And they do these things just to see, they check my discernment. How quickly can I solve the case of what, who's doing it, at least what area it's supposed to go from, and how it ties into the last event. And it's all for free. Ain't that something? All for free. Forever. Stargazing. And then the creature on the ground here, if you just do the outline, maybe stretching it, but it kind of looks like a rat, dead, lay on the ground with a big foot down here, big feet. Has like that rat look to it, and the feet at the bottom. Wow, the star. And the fire from the wildfires, and then the same fire from the wildfires, and the star catching it, the witch's pot burning from the top with witchcraft. face touching the bottom, nostrils, showing you the I-95. It's not that it's exact, but it's the same shape. It comes out, it bends right there, and then it goes out and then back. And then this comes down, bends right there, goes. Just showing you where it's next at with the star. So it's easier for me to figure out after the fact where it's at. The real skill is trying to find out where it's going to be at before it gets there. Look at the inconvenience. All the minus and red spots is where it's closed off. Such a major highway shut down.